Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So, blockbuster season is officially upon us. As if you probably couldn't tell by the weather, you can probably also tell in the form of the films that are now being released upon us. One of which is Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, the sequel to 2015's T-Rex sized blockbuster hit Jurassic World. I saw this the other night at a IMAX preview in Cineworld Leicester Square, and the presentation of the film subsequently couldn't have been more spectacular or better enhanced or better presented on that front. I went in, I have to say, with moderately low expectations because much as I enjoyed Jurassic World, which was of course the first Jurassic Park movie in 12 years following Jurassic Park 3, I kind of felt that movie was a bit of a mess directorially and narratively, and I was much more confident in this one as a result of J.A. Bayona, who is a Spanish director who I like very, very much, taking over the project from Colin Trevorrow, who helms Jurassic World, and who I think was floundering a little bit in terms of how to make that particular narrative work. I had much more confidence in J.A. Bayona. But the basic gist of it is, and I'll try my best not to give away spoilers, I'll try to describe just what's in the trailer. If you'd rather not know anything, turn off this video now and just see it for yourself because it's on release now. But the basic gist of it is that in the wake of the theme park Jurassic World's destruction at the end of the previous movie, Claire, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, has now formed a dinosaur protection group because Isla Sorna's volcano, which was thought to be dormant, is now erupting, which threatens our prehistoric ancestors, and there is a debate going on in the courts about whether dinosaurs deserve the same levels of protection as other species. And this is a very controversial thing, owing to all the chaos that's happened in the previous movies, owing to all the carnage and death and destruction. Have dinosaurs had their shot, or do they deserve to be treated with the same level of reverence and respect? She then re-teams with Owen, Chris Pratt's character, who trained the Velociraptor Blue, to travel back to Isla Sorna to help rescue several of the species from the island. But wouldn't you know it, there is actually skullduggery going on. There is corporate subterfuge, and they've been lured to the island not to rescue the dinosaurs, but to actually help this corporate conspiracy. There's a corporate conspiracy basically which wants to remove dinosaurs from the island and essentially weaponize them and sell them off for profit. This is a kind of extension of the subplot in Jurassic World, where we had Vincent D'Onofrio's character who wants to weaponize the Velociraptors, and there was the whole thing with Dr. Henry Wu, B.D. Wong's character, who's back in this one. You know, there's all that sort of shenanigans going on. I won't give away anything more than that because I think it's a film of two halves, and I think, to be honest, the most interesting stuff in this film happens in the second half of the movie. Hence, I don't really want to avoid spoilers because that would entail giving away stuff that happens fairly late on. The first half of the movie, I have to say, is fairly rote. I mean, it does play like a soft reboot of the Lost World Jurassic Park, which was, of course, Steven Spielberg's 1997 sequel to the original Jurassic Park, in which you had Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore going to Isla Sorna to rescue the dinosaurs in that film, and then there was a military intervention. There are a lot of echoes in that at the start of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I thought, oh god, here we go. This is just going to be basically playing the same beats as the Lost World Jurassic Park, albeit with a massive, great big volcanic eruption and stampeding dinosaurs thrown in just to differentiate it. Now, for the record, as with Jurassic World, there are some head-bangingly stupid bits in it. And if you've seen the trailer for Jurassic World, you'll know I don't think it's quite possible to outrun a pyroclastic cloud with lots of stampeding dinosaurs behind you. But whatever, it's a Jurassic Park movie. You know, there were flaws in Jurassic Park itself. Remember the whole bit with the T-Rex enclosure with the big hole that appeared out of nowhere? That's a plot hole that no one's been able to be adequately sort of explained away. But anyway. So that all stuff it's spectacular enough. It does what it's set out to do. It's fairly standard. There is some very, very nice imagery in the first half of the movie, but particularly in the second half of the movie, which is where I think it gets very, very more interesting, where it relocates to one location, and the movie actually lives up to J.A. Bayona's promise of actually embracing his gothic horror roots, as we saw in the likes of The Orphanage. The Orphanage was a terrific 2007 Spanish ghost story about ghosts from the past, both metaphorical and literal, and how they impact on the present. And it was a lovely sort of shadowy, rich gothic atmosphere. And there is a lot of that in the second half of Jurassic World. And I have to say, the second half of this movie does does actually at least differentiate this movie to an extent from what's come before. It's certainly, although it is adhering very much to the Jurassic formula, I think tonally and textually it does actually feel quite different, and it is actually quite scary. If you've got young'uns, I'd advise a bit of caution. It is intense, and I mean, it's intense in that family-friendly kind of way, but there are some nasty moments in it. But I was genuinely surprised by how gripping the second half of the movie was and how artfully directed it is. Again, wonderful use of shadow and production design, and Michael Giacchino's score, although maybe not quite as strong as his score for Jurassic World, has got this lovely enveloping demonic choral texture which accompanies a certain new creature, the creation of whom I won't go into. But it's actually a really, it's a much better directed film than Jurassic World was. There are some really beautiful images. There's a shot of a brontosaurus, I believe, is being enveloped in this kind of volcanic cloud, almost silhouetted, which is one of the images that really stood out to me, which is very heartrending and very tragic. So I think J.A. Bayona is a director who is much more qualified to this kind of movie than Colin Trevorrow was, because with Colin Trevorrow, with Jurassic World, he made the leap to Jurassic World from this strange little indie movie called Safety Not Guaranteed, which again, the jump with there didn't really make an awful lot of sense to me. Whereas with this, it does kind of make sense, because J.A. Bayona has got a background in this kind of Spielbergian horror fantasy realm. Not only did he make The Orphanage, he also made The Impossible, which is the Asian tsunami disaster movie. He also made A Monster Calls, so therefore he's got the qualifications to do justice to this kind of material, whereas I don't think Colin Trevorrow's application as director to Jurassic World didn't really make a lot of sense to me, whereas this time it does. That's not to say that the movie is without flaws, because it isn't. As I said, there are some incredibly stupid moments in it. There are plot holes galore. There is a sense that because, as we found out in recent months, that the release date of the third Jurassic World movie has now been announced for 2021. That was announced before this movie had even come out. This is the middle chapter of a wider story, and I dare say there'll be lots of people thinking, well, it's intentionally leaving me hanging. It's intentionally not wrapping everything up. But I have to say, I got to the end of it, and I actually wanted to know where the story was going to go from here. Again, it's scripted by Colin Trevorrow and Derek Connolly. They've mapped out this trilogy of stories, and I must admit, I am very interested to see where it's going to go from here. I think there are some nice topical references about how nature is being exploited by big business. Again, we've seen all these horrendous photos over the last few years about all these smug big game hunters from countries like America going over and shooting endangered species and then showing off on social media. Again, this new movie does touch on the sort of hot button topicality of that. I've read a few reviews that have said that that's forced. I don't think it's forced at all, and even if it is, I think any blockbuster that can draw attention to themes like that is doing a very good job, albeit within the guise of a big popcorn blockbuster. I think the performances are perfectly serviceable. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are sturdy. Again, their characters aren't particularly memorable. Again, it's the supporting roles that are more interesting here. You've got a trio of Rafe Spall as this weaselly sort of corporate suit who obviously isn't to be trusted. You've got Toby Jones as this very creepy sort of buck-toothed lisping auctioneer with a very prominent sort of floppy haircut. You know, the parallels which I won't go into that much. But then you've also got Ted Levine as the sort of hired military muscle who's not brilliantly sort of nasty as Ted Levine often is in these kinds of films. The Jeff Goldblum appearance, I have to say, has been much hyped, but is rather cursory. It is interesting that he is now, his character Ian Malcolm is now finally, the world is finally coming round to his point of view about the dangers that he was referring to in the first Jurassic Park. Now we get a sense of the past catching up, and again, this is the film is interesting in how much J.A. Bayona actually is in its genetic code. It actually fits in with the themes of his previous movies, which is that there are echoes of the past catching up with the present, and the fact that Claire and Owen are as culpable in the events as anybody else is. Owen trained the Velociraptors and maybe didn't consider the consequences. Claire, of course, was the asset manager in Jurassic World and thought nothing about making a quick buck to exploit these dinosaurs earlier on. And all of these things come around. Now, I think it's an interesting exploration of the themes of the series. Not flawless. Again, there are some very ridiculous bits in it, but it's a Jurassic Park movie, and it does what it sets out to do. It's thrilling, it's exciting, it's scary, it's funny when it needs to be. I think it's much better directed and to an extent coherently scripted than Jurassic World, and I enjoyed it very much, actually. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. So drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner with your thoughts on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I'll see you soon. Bye.